I just thought I'd do a little follow-up to my video on inquests generally, and specifically about Ruth Perry, because the coroner has now returned their verdict, and they have made a finding of, like I say, that word that YouTube does not like me using. But what's interesting is they've said contributed to by the stress of the Ofsted inspection, because as I explained, all they are supposed to find as coroners is they answer four questions: who died, when did they die, how did they die, and where did they die. So the how is, like I say, usually they just give sort of a one word or a one phrase conclusion, but they can expand on that. And this coroner has done a little bit. What's the actual outcome? What's likely to happen now? Well, as I also mentioned, coroners have these things, these prevention of future death notices, where they can identify potential failings, and they can send this report to anybody who might be able to do something about this. And anybody receiving such a notice has 56 days in which to respond and say how they are going to mitigate against future risks. Again, there's no sort of enforcement powers here. It's only something that a coroner can actually do to try to prevent future deaths, and it's all based pretty much on the goodwill of the people involved, that they will actually seek to do something about this. But I suspect we will be hearing a little bit more about this, especially from Ofsted now that they have been named. Although, as I said, there's this strange thing that the one thing a coroner cannot do is give any indication of findings of fault or liability, whether civil or criminal. Interestingly, I think this actually, some of the commentary here does really push on the boundaries there, but obviously this was a highly emotive case and a very important one, and a lot of people will be affected by this. I mean, I know the reason that they said, well, one of the reasons they gave for not granting legal aid was, well, there's no wider public interest here because this is just, one person. But it's very clear from sort of like just the comments I've been watching in response to this verdict, that a lot of people are finding themselves in very similar positions. Lots of people have been commenting about the stress of Ofsted inspections, and Dan's done a really excellent video on actually the details of this. But yeah, I just thought it was worth commenting on. And like I say, if you want more detail on the process generally, just maybe go back and watch that full video on inquests. Anyway, as always, hope you found that vaguely interesting. Again, I'll say I hope you don't find it actually vaguely useful, because I hope nobody's ever in a position where they need to find this useful. But if you did, please consider, as always, clicking the like button, subscribing and sharing.